Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Brian and Jim from DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, and today, for our 6-pack of the month, we're going to be taking a look at the recently released Evolve. Now, as always, me and Jim, we both have our high opinions of this game, some good, some bad. Just check it out. Either way, let us know what you think at the end of the video.
Alright, I'm going to start with the elephant in the room, and I'm going to talk about the DLC.
Jim, don't you mean the Goliath in the room?
Which one? The one you get, or the one you're going to have to pay for?
That's the behemoth!
Exactly. Look, this is a $60 game at launch. Now, say you go to GameStop and you pre-ordered it. If you go there and you buy the season pass, which is $25, they'll cut you a $5 break. So, you're at about $80 at this point. Then, if you want to buy all the DLC that's available at launch for the game, that's $120 worth. Add that together, and it's a $200 game at launch if you want to have everything that comes with it. Look, I've heard the story from the developer already, how they say, they need all the DLC to cover their costs. You know what? I honestly, as the consumer, I don't give a shit. Alright, you look back at other games like, let's say, for example, Soul Calibur 2. There is a ton of different characters and a ton of different skins. Whole bunch of useless shit, but you know how you get it? You go through a storyline to do it. Now, it may be repetitive and long, but you get it all with the package. And this isn't even coming into the fact that they're going to have more expansions, more map packs, more characters, and more DLC coming in the future. Luckily, the DLC that's on the game itself, it's mostly aesthetics. It's skins, it's different bullcrap, it's nothing that really breaks the game. So, at the very least, it's not a real pay-to-win scenario. Which is good. It just feels like they're nickel and diming you with all this shit that you should have if it's on the disc. It's the same kind of Capcom thing. It's annoying, but I guess that's the way gaming's going these days. Other reviewers like Boogie and Total Biscuit and all have talked about it, and we're kind of along the same lines where we think it's bullshit, but at least it doesn't break the game.
Alright, so the first topic I want to hit on is the overall multiplayer experience. And I should really be more specific in all the issues you run into in the multiplayer experience. I was balls excited to get this game. I turned it on, invited one of my friends, and we sat waiting for a server, I don't know, 6-7 minutes, maybe more, only to send me into a game and kick my buddy out. What the fuck? This was a game that not only had a beta, not only got pushed back, it had a goddamn alpha release, and they still can't figure this shit out. I'm very lenient with first releases, so I say, okay, fine, maybe they'll fix it. Well, guess what? It's a week later, and they're still having that same goddamn issue. But, once you do get into a game, you will stay there, and that's a good thing. However, there are some things that me and Jim both kind of agree that there needs to be some tweaking, specifically the balancing of specific characters. Number one, and I know all of you are probably not shocked about this, the Wraith. Holy fuck, the spamming of the hits, the speed, the just general abuse of power that thing has. Unless you're going against a guy who it's his first time playing, I will guarantee you will probably lose. The other character, Lazarus, once again, if you got someone who's really good, not only can this asshole turn invisible, he can bring people back from the dead at almost full health with no goddamn penalty. I just think they need to at least increase the amount of time it takes for him to use that Lazarus device and slow the goddamn Wraith down. And then aside from that, the only real other issue I have is the user interface in the game. Any good multiplayer game these days has some type of option to block or kick a player who's playing like an asshole. And in a game like this, where teamwork is key, you will run into guys who just decide, nah, I'm not really going to help you. Look at this game. This fucking medic is supposed to be helping us. He's not doing anything. And then he waits till we're all dead and decides, I'm going to engage a monster with my sniper rifle. Dude, that shit is annoying. You should be able to block or kick someone, especially if nobody wants him in the game. It's just a goddamn mess. There's a lot of things they need to fix, and I'm really hoping they do some kind of update soon, because we all know on the release day you had to download that goddamn 3 gig update that took forever.
Alright, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is somewhere where me and Bri kind of disagree a little bit. I don't think this is a $60 game. Now, I already went into all the DLC and all that bullcrap, besides the fact that that isn't available to you. If you had that, that would help. But let's get down to the bare bones here. There's really one core gameplay type in this game. It's what they call hunt. You go around, you try to kill the monster before he gets strong enough to kill you. There's some variations. You have, rescue mode where you're rescuing survivors. You have nest mode where you have to destroy the eggs that the monster's putting down. There's defend mode where you have 3 key points that the monster is going to try and kill during the entire course of the game. And they're fun and they're nice variations, but the core gameplay really stays the exact same. Besides that, you have 12 characters in the game, once again, at launch. Each, so you get 3 different characters per class. So you have 3 different salt people, 3 different medics, 3 different support, 3 different trappers. And each of them have different abilities. And it's cool to play around with them, try to see, which one works best for you, which ones you want to grind through, because after level 1 of each ability for them, it takes a lot of work. But, we've already seen people 2 days after launch who are at like level 31. So within a week, they're already going to grind out all this stuff. Now, of course, you have that in every game, but it's a package that after a relatively short time, you're basically done. There's no single-player campaign really to speak of, besides the evacuation mode, which you can also do in multiplayer. So they put, tiny little cutscenes within the game, but there's no real narrative here. There's no story, which, don't get me wrong, that's fine. You look at a game like even Left 4 Dead. They made a storyline to tag all the games together, even if it is the same experiences you would have online just with bots. It just seems like an afterthought, which, once again, I know is the trend for these multiplayer games. And at the end of the day, this almost feels like another Titanfall, where it's a game that has a cool idea, very cool concept, very fun, but it has limited options, limited modes, and I really hope boredom doesn't set in too fast like it kind of did. Games like this are supposed to be the quote-unquote Call of Duty killer, and none of them had enough content to do it.
Alright, as kind of a counter to Jim's point, I'm going to have to say I do feel there is a lot offered in this game. Now, I'm not going to argue. I really do think they should have had a better story, or at least some semblance of a full story in this game. As of launch day, I do feel that you have 15 completely unique gaming experiences. Like Jim said, yes, the 4 classes each have 3 different characters that you can play as. Like for me, one of my favorite classes is being the Trapper. And going from Maggie to Griffin to Abe are 3 completely unique experiences for me. Yes, I still am responsible for pretty much tracking the monster and locking him in the dome, but how I go about it is completely different. And I do find fun in doing it different ways. Like, I might be really great as Maggie at first, and it took me a while to get used to Griffin and that harpoon gun. Now I love the shit out. See, I'm someone in multiplayer games, I like to try every gun, every class, every type of everything. Since we've started, I've probably at least got to the 3rd level of each character already. Whereas like someone like Jim, he loves the support class. That's like his #1 way of playing. And that's fine, because that's his way of playing. I'm someone though, like, if I get done with somebody, okay, cool, I've tried them, let me try something else. So, I think this game has a real longevity, at least for a player like me, but I can see where some players might feel isolated. And that doesn't even get me started on the monsters. Now, obviously, all 3 monsters are going to play completely differently, but really based on who your enemy is playing as, you're going to have to adjust. You may want to attack real quick, or be more stealthy. There's really no one way you're going to want to play the game. And that's where I think this game shines more than Call of Duties, Halos. There is a difference here, however, they really should have capitalized on bringing a better story and a slightly more content to the game, like Jim mentioned.
Alright, and I'm going to end my part on a positive note, and I'm going to talk about, really, the teamwork aspect of the game, which the game does really, really well. We've mentioned it before, like Left 4 Dead's one of our favorite games. It's one of the first big multiplayer team-based experiences. Now, before you go off on me about Battlefield or Counter-Strike, I already know about that. I'm talking about console-based multiplayer action. In Left 4 Dead, all the characters played the same. That was probably one of the biggest problems with it, is there was no reason to play as one character over another. We already talked about how you can have your preferences in this game for whatever types you use. But at the end of the day, you need all the characters working together. So you need to have the support guys boosting up or protecting all the assault people. You need to have the assault guys beating the ever-living shit out of the monster. You need to have the medics healing you constantly or bringing you back to life. You need to have the trappers keeping the monster in one spot, or you know what, you're never going to catch up to the guy. So they all play off each other really well. It's a very cool dynamic, and it's cool, as we mentioned before, how each different character within a certain archetype has different abilities, but it helps and hurts in different ways. Sometimes you might need the long-range scanning a bucket, or you might need Hank's shield to protect you from a wraith who's beating the crap out of your assault guy all the time. It's just a really cool dynamic, and I think it's something the game does really well, and it keeps almost every match in multiplayer a different experience.
Of all the 9 maps on Sheer, the wildlife plays such an important role in every single game, whether you're the monster or the hunters. Now, other games have boasted that, oh, the environment, it really changes and it really affects the gameplay. To a degree, like games like Battlefield, you may be able to destroy a building, and don't get me wrong, it affects it, but I wouldn't say it completely reshapes the way you have to play. This game, you have creatures out there that are all designed on a very intimate level. You have these little monkey creatures that are nothing more than fodder for the monster to eat real quick. But then you can have the tyrants, which are these big motherfuckers, who in a couple bites could kill a monster. Embarrassingly enough, one of the games I was playing as a Kraken, as I'm trying to run away from the hunters, this motherfucker took me out. I couldn't believe I lost the map because I got killed by a goddamn tyrant. But anyway, that's besides the point. I just love the fact that you're going to get so caught up in trying to chase after the monster as a hunters that before you know it, you get swallowed up by a carnivorous plant. And then you're yelling to your friends, fuck, I'm stuck in a plant. And my favorite part is just, it's not completely unfair to either player. And then to make matters even better, the game developers decided, let's hide boosts within specific wildlife creatures. Most of the time, I think they're always called albinos, and basically when you kill them, they can be things like health regeneration, speed, but the best part, whether you're the monster or the players, whoever kills them, the enemy can still pick up a buff as well. So it keeps everything pretty balanced, and I just really love it. And one other nice thing about the wildlife is they put in the birds as almost indicators of where the monster is if he's not paying attention. The maps are friggin' huge in this game, and those birds are so key. Now, if you have someone who's really keen on paying attention to where they are at all times, it's still going to be tough to find them, but every so often, you're going to slip up as the monster, you're not going to pay attention, and boom, you just gave a signal to the hunters. The hunt is on, and holy shit, is it fun.
Alright, for my final thoughts here, I'm going to do a Jerry Springer moment. At the end of the day, I think this is a really fun and creative game. It isn't the first, 4-player multiplayer game out there. It isn't the first multiplayer-centric game, blah, blah, blah. The concept is really cool, and the whole hunt aspect of it's something you really don't see a lot of, outside of those god-awful Cabela games, but, this is a game that's actually fun. At the end of the day, it's got its problems. It's the DLC, it's annoying, but it's not game-breaking. The matchmaking, at least for me, is atrocious. Most of the time, Brian's the party leader. If you're not the party leader, good friggin' luck. So, it's got a lot of technical issues. You really expect it to work better, especially multiplayer server-wise, in a multiplayer-centric game that's had an alpha and a beta. But at the end of the day, I really do think it's a fun game. If it was $40 at launch, it would be a Game of the Year candidate. But it's $60. It's still a fun game, but at that price range, it might not be worth it to everyone.
Alright, and my final thought, well, I'm a bigger fan of this game than I think Jim is. But I'm definitely not someone here who's holding the banner saying, this is a perfect game. It's not. Jim mentioned, the server issues, they piss me off. The lack of any kind of good user interface to block players who are being douchebags, that really kills it for me in some games, and I could be playing all night, and if I get a string of games in a row like that, I'm just gonna leave, because I can't stand that shit. But other than that, like I said, I'm gonna be playing this game for a long time. This pulled me from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. In general, I just hope gaming developers, I hope they don't follow in the footsteps of Turtle Rock. I mean, the lack of content trying to be compensated with some DLC skins, it's not gonna cut it. And I know we're never probably gonna, hopefully, get to the point of the late 80s going to the ET crash of video games, but seriously, they're starting to get really greedy with their just money grab schemes, and people are going to get tired of it sooner or later. Hopefully they turn this shit around, bring better ideas, and give the people more content. As always, thank you guys for checking out our video. Make sure you click like or subscribe if you really enjoyed it. Let us know what you think of Evolve. We love hearing your guys' opinions too. Till next week, guys. Cheers.